Welcome, welcome. Today we are taking a look at the easiest tanks to play at tier 10 in World of Tanks. And what I mean by that is tanks that kind of just work. They don't have to necessarily be good tanks, but the way they perform, the way they play is just an easy play style. First on the list is the Super Conqueror, a tank that has kind of fallen out of meta simply because it is so slow. The DPM, though it's good, is nothing comparable to the FE205B, and it gets outclassed in almost every regard by the T110E5. But we're not talking about if a tank is good, we're talking about if it's easy to play, and the Super Conq is no exception to that. Its gun is very accurate, it's got 10 degrees of gun depression, you don't really need to aim, it's nice and slow, it's got a decent turret armor, so you just kind of just roll around, go hell down, shoot people. That's it. It doesn't require finesse like a Chieftain or an FE205B, or even an E5. If you play it well enough and put some finesse on an E5, not only is the E5 easy, it's also almost impossible to kill. A very good tank indeed. But again, the Super Conqueror just has some hit points, has some armor, has some gun depression. You just roll around and you shoot people and your damage starts to stack up. So long as you don't get yourself caught out. That, my friends, is the Super Conqueror. Good tank? Maybe. Easy tank? 100%. One of the easiest in the game. Now, I was going to include the IS-7 on this list, but I think the IS-7 requires a lot more finesse. A lot of players just play this tank, and they just run around with it, and it can do some good stuff. It is fairly easy, but then this E5 just did what he did, and I was like, you know what? I don't think I want to include the IS-7 when an E5 is allowed to simply YOLO, and there's nothing you can do about it. You just die. Why? Because it's got 2400 health now, and it's got more DPM, and it's got more alpha, and it's got absurd heat penetration. So, introducing number 6 on the list, we're counting down 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the T110E5. Now, this list does not have any particular order. I'm just showing them off to kind of mix them up so I don't just have all the heavies in a row or something like that. But the T110E5, since we spoke about it while mentioning the Super Conqueror, is probably even easier to play. Your armor is so dummy-proof. All you need to do is face the enemy, wiggle your hull, and you win. That's it. You have insane DPM, 6.5 seconds on this reload, and that's without food. If you throw on food, you've got like a 6.2 seconds. Even lower than that still. I'm pretty sure it gets down to 6.0 seconds. And your T110E5, your DPM is absurd. Your hull armor is absurd. These Tier 8s can't do anything to you like they can in the Super Conqueror. In the Super Conqueror, they can go through your lower plate. They can go through your upper plate in some cases. You're slow, you're sluggish, your gun isn't as impressive. But the E5 is quick, it's mobile, the lower plate is a troll, the upper plate is almost impossible to pen, the side armor is angled. Absolutely disgusting tank, the T110E5, that requires almost no skill to have crazy good games. However, there is a finesse to it. And if you manage to master the finesse, you can do even more damage still in your T110E5. And it is scoring number 6 on this list of the easiest tanks to play at tier 10. Next on our list, I had to throw in an autoloader. I needed one in this list. And what easier tank to play than the T57 Heavy? It kind of gets away with the dumbest things in the game. You just drive around the corner, you go blop, 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 bada bing, bada boom. You've killed yourself a tank. And you have some armor to boot. Sometimes tanks are bouncing off of you. It's absolutely insane. Your reload is 20 seconds in the T57 Heavy. And now you have 420 alpha damage, about to be buffed to 440. And a 2.2 seconds inner clip reload. And just like that, we're ready to go. First we go for the track. Then we go for 1, 2, and you guessed it, 3 shots, just like that. 2400 damage. We could be up to over 3 grand if we had penned every shot, but we have not. And therefore, we're only up to 2500 damage. Can you imagine that? The T57 Heavy just rolls around, and if you load your heat shells, you have 340 millimeters of penetration, and with 6.0 accuracy. Who needs to play the AMX 50B? Not me. You don't need that accuracy. Why play it when you can just play this tank because it's got the same accuracy and you've got those heat shells and you've got armor to boot and you get to do stuff like this to poor tanks And, hello, Rogaldorn. Bada bing, bada boom, 3,600 damage, and yes, this is nearly a 9,000 damage game in the background. I pulled it out, just randomly, played it. It was easy. Blocked some damage, dealt some damage, reloaded my magazine over and over and over again, doing obscene amounts of things to these poor people. M103, 1 shell, make that 2 shells. Rogaldorn thinks he's clever, but guess what we get to do? We get to go through his weak side turret, which isn't weak, but we've got the 340 heat pen, 1 shell there, and how about that cupola? 2 shells, 4,700 damage, just like that. Watching me do 4,700 damage in just 100 seconds is pretty crazy, isn't it? So now we're gonna drop down, not some tiers, but definitely drop down power level. The Centurion Action 10. This tank is not particularly good. It's not overpowered. It's not something I would say, hey, go get this tank. You're gonna do very well in it. It just does work for you. No. It's simply easy to play. The Centurion Action 10 has 10 degrees of gun depression and a phenomenal gun. The DPM is low, the armor is mediocre, the mobility is mediocre, but it's a smooth tank. It's a smooth gun. Gun depression is very, very useful in this game, and so it just kind of works for you. And that is why I've included it in one of the easiest tanks in this game to play. Because if you compare it to, let's say, the Patton, you've got 9 degrees of gun depression, you're bigger, you're slower. You could compare it to the STB-1, the gun likes to miss. The Hydro pneumatic suspension is awkward. If you compare it to the Leopard, you're big, you have no armor whatsoever. It is an easy one to play, the Leopard, for sure. But it's not the Centurion Action 10. It's not as... In fact, the Centurion Action 10 is not as good as the Leopard if used properly. If both tanks are used to their fullest, then the Leopard 1 is miles beyond the Centurion Action 10. However, we're talking about just simplicity, easiness, if that is a word. It is today. And so, on the list, the Centurion Action 10 does make it as being simply an easy medium tank to play. How about a light tank? If you're going to have a tier 10 light tank, then it has to be the T100 LT, because what can't this tank do? It's fast, it's low profile, has amazing camouflage. The gun is incredible. One of the best guns at picking apart other light tanks in the game. You are a light tank hunter in this tank, and you have armor to boot. Yes, tanks bounce off of you. Shells bounce off of you, not necessarily tanks. In fact, you're going to bounce off of tanks if you try to ram somebody with this thing. But it's just a little missile, and you have so many different ways you could set this tank up. You could play this tank, you can play it to brawl, so gun rammer, vertical stabilizer, and then your choice of optics or speed. You can go camouflage, you can go gun handling, all sorts of things. Like right now, I've got this set up for speed, and I've got it set up for camouflage, and I've got it set up for view range. And yet this gun handling is still insane. It's impeccable gun handling. You just drive around, it's so good at shooting on the move. There's nothing that compares to it. And so if you don't want to play the game, like you're supposed to, which is, being tactical, this tank allows you to simply YOLO around the battlefield. Bada bing, bada boom. Easy peasy, bada bing, bada boom. I did bada bing, bada boom twice because that's how bada bing, bada boom it is. You just right bumper, and then you right trigger, and you do damage. And if you decide you want to active scout, it's fast enough. And if you want to passive scout, it's got enough camo to do it. What can it do? I don't know. Maybe penetrate the front of a mouse? Okay, well, then just go around it and shoot it there. Done. Easy. T100 LT, the easiest light tank at tier 10 to play. This second to last tank, I was not sure was going to make the list, but I decided to pull it out and try it. I had stated a long time ago that it was the easiest tank in the game to play at tier 10. But this was way back in the day. That has since changed, and so I pulled it out, and it blew my mind just how easy the tank still is to play. The Object 430U, 440 alpha damage gun, incredible penetration, incredible camouflage, incredible armor on the turret, decent armor on the hull. The tank does it all, except gun depression. Gun depression is the one thing it suffers from. Otherwise, oh my gosh, did you know this camouflage is the best camouflage of any Russian medium at tier 10? It has the same camouflage that the Object 430 used to have. And when they introduced this, the Object 430 for some reason got the 430U's camouflage from PC, and the 430U got the 430's camouflage on console. It's like, what? It made no sense. The K91 lost camouflage as well. And so this became the sneakiest Russian medium tank, as well as being the biggest, as well as being the most armored with the biggest gun. And the slowest goes 48 kilometers an hour, but it's smooth. You just drive around, you trust the turret, you trust the hull, you trust the low profile, you trust the camouflage, and the tank will do work for you. It absolutely does. You are not going to be tricked by this tank when you pull it out. It's going to do what you want, when you want it, and it's going to do a lot more that you're not expecting. For instance, the bounces. For instance, tank's not seeing you and you're seeing them first. It's like, what's going on? You get such a huge advantage playing a tank like this. The 430U, absolutely nuts. Very easy to play. Pull it out, press that right bumper, press that right trigger, see what it can do for you. And I think you're not going to be that disappointed by it. Last and not least, I've saved it for last because I believe it to be the easiest tank in the game to play that isn't a premium tank, because the Rogaldorn, the Lehman Ross, the Tehran, the Avery, those are all easier tanks to play. They're stupid. They're for players who don't want to grind their way to tier 10. But if you want to grind your way to tier 10 and you want an easy tank, the FV215B by far is the absolute easiest tank in the game to play. You just load up your premium rounds, which are 155 caliber guns, caliber shell, yep, with 850 alpha damage and 375 millimeters of APCR penetration. You have armor like the E5, so you have that going for you, and a tiny bit of mobility. But you know what else this tank has that you don't know about? Camouflage. The camouflage of this tank is absurd. I have it down to, I believe, 293 meters of still concealment. Nobody is seeing me before I'm seeing them. And I'm in basically a glorified heavy tank, a glorified E100 or 60 TP, whatever you want it to be. It's absolutely insane what this tank can do. You just roll around and you do damage. Right bumper, right trigger. It's the easiest RBRT tank in the game with this amount of penetration. Plus the armor to boot, the alpha, the DPM. Look at 13.2 seconds reload on 850 alpha damage. If this thing had 750 alpha damage, I wouldn't complain. I wouldn't think it's underpowered. I think it'd be right where it needs to be. If this thing had 700, then it might be, oh man, the tank is balanced now. Like, that is the T110E4 in a nutshell. You just roll around, you blop people, you call it a day, you don't give a care. You don't. We're up to 3,900 damage and we haven't tried. We've just rolled and we're going to feed this E4. I don't care that I'm feeding this E4 because he won't kill me and I can take a hit. And so now I'm going to shoot him, and guess what I'm going to do to him? I'm going to put it right in the ammo rack and he's not got a repair kit, meaning we're going to beat his reload. But it doesn't matter because somebody else blows his head clean off. And that, my friends, is the T110E4, 4,800 damage, and we're not done. We actually do manage to put another 2 shots in this game, but we're going to end there. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, slap that like button, comment, subscribe. Let me know which tanks are the easiest in your mind in World of Tanks. And you can go ahead and include some premium rounds and some other tiers. But at tier 10, as far as tech tree tanks go, these are the ones I chose. I wanted one light tank, I wanted one tank destroyer, I wanted some mediums, and I wanted an autoloader. And I think we nailed them all. And I will be seeing you guys all later. Take care, everyone, and peace out.